What is up, fellow bench warmers? Welcome to another episode of Fantasy Bench Warmers. It's closing in on the start of this, well, not really too near, but the exciting fantasy season, the exciting part of the fantasy season is closing in as we head into September. My name is JJT with Komish Eric. But a month and a half left before the season starts. And we are entering probably one of the more the busier times in fantasy, the draft part, right? And there have been quiet news, no really news out there. Today we're gonna talk about some of the other teams and look into their depth charts. Last time we had Houston, Orlando, and who's the other team? OKC. But before that, we have to. I almost forgot, but definitely remembered in time. We have to give a shout out to our one of our biggest follower from the land of Luka, Slovenia, Rock. Gave us some donations, I guess. I'm not sure if I could call it donation. He just sent me something, and that shocked me. And it was a support he is showing to our podcast, and we really appreciate it. So, Rock, if you're listening, and I know you're going to be listening, shout out to you. We really appreciate the gift that he sent us, and we'll put it into good use.
Thank you to Rock. Very heartwarming to receive investments from far away from Europe.
Yeah, and it was unexpected, so that makes it a lot more memorable. I mean, I thought he just made a mistake, but no, he said that was for us. So yeah, we really appreciate it, Rock, and thank you for always supporting us and joining our leagues. He's been joining a lot of our leagues, every league, the Roto League, the head-to-head leagues, and he's been very active. Last year he also joined, made some trades. He's not the one who's just playing and just because to support. He really is out there to try and win. So hopefully you get luckier this time, because last year he wasn't as lucky. But thank you for that donation or gift that you gave us. All right, that's now let's move on to business. And
maybe before we move on there, let's just have a rejoinder to the Orlando situation, because Gary Harris is out. I assume for a long, maybe the whole season. I don't know, but it's a ligament injury. So just to remind you guys about what we talked about last week, we said it was very crowded rotation in Orlando. So this helps that a bit. I'm sure Jalen Suggs, who we talked about very in detail last week, would be asked to do more. So if the shooting can recover, then there is some appeal there with Jalen Suggs, especially with this injury news.
Yeah.
Do you think so? I mean, I think for you, is it Jalen Suggs who would benefit the most here?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think this opens up a bit that backcourt. I mean, we were talking about Cole and Fultz, right? Who should start. Yeah. Now there'll be more minutes for both of them, and Orlando can play both of them at the same time as well, because Fultz can also play the shooting guard role. So that opens it up a bit. I don't think RJ Hampton is a big of a threat to these three players. I mean, Suggs, Fultz, and Cole. I think those three guys are still the top guards in Orlando, and they'll probably play them more.
Hampton is intriguing, but is too raw at this point. He's too young.
But he's what? Third year, fourth year? I think this is third year.
Third year, yeah. I think he's with LaMelo Ball. But I mean,
it's so hard to say that Hampton is too raw, considering
Uh,
the
well,
it's a young core,
but
very young
you
core.
have to remember they're all 21, 22 year olds. Some people just mature later than the others. Hampton improved in the summer league, but I he was a ball hog there. He was just trying to do
Yeah,
too
and that's what
much.
he pretty much does, right? I mean, he
Yes.
scores.
So fantasy wise, that efficient. So I don't think he's gonna factor in too much. Some it might also open up some minutes for the forward rotation because they might go Terrence Ross in the shooting guard and everything. So might give Okiki a chance to get minutes. Just like you talked about the last time, can get minutes at a small forward position.
Yeah.
And then another thing with Orlando is there's some video that came out about Jonathan Isaac. He looks very good. I mean, in the just a rejoinder. I know we finished with Orlando, but
Yeah.
I saw the clips and he looked healthy. I'm just saying. I don't know if I'm gonna be tempted again. You know me, I'm a big Isaac fan. So
No,
I
a
don't know.
lot a lot of managers are big Isaac fans. I think, if you are the hardcore, you really follow players fantasy wise. I think if you're the hardcore manager, you still remember before he went down, he was producing top 10, top 15
Yes,
value before he went
around that
down.
range. Yeah.
The only question mark with Isaac has always been, can he stay up all the time? Because he's always down with an injury.
Yes. If you're in a 12-team league, if he's still there past 120, he's a worthy gamble, I think. Given that players outside top 120 you might drop anyway, so he's somebody you could consider. I know he's healthy right now, but the depth chart is kind of crowded there at the
Yeah.
fourth position. But with Harris down, maybe he gets a chance also. He gets some minutes also.
I was just
So
about to
that's the
say that
Isaac.
unlike past seasons wherein, it's not as crowded, this year's Orlando Magic has more young players, and
For now.
who I mean, these are young players who will definitely see minutes, right? Franz
Yes.
Wagner. These are not the questionable type of young guys that are there just to be developed. Some of these guys are NBA ready. I mean, Paulo Banquero, Franz Wagner has his 1 year. So these are not the developing type
And
of young guns.
and Wagner is a junior when he finished 3 years in
Yeah.
college before he had 1 year. So he's really already made sort of he's not somebody you have to develop for a long time.
Yeah.
He's ready.
So that,
Banquero is a freshman, but his body is
yeah, if you
NBA
look at the
ready since
body, I
high school.
mean,
Yeah.
he's
So there.
NBA ready, and the play is not he's not small for the position he plays in. I mean, some guys, have developed body, but when they get to the NBA, they're pretty much smaller than the average height of their position. But Banquero is not, so his body is really NBA. So I mean,
Less
this,
less
yeah,
adjustments for him, and his game is more suited to the NBA than college
yeah,
because of the spacing is because of better teammates. His passing, we saw that in the summer league. I was surprised with his passing. He was a good passer. So Banquero is really someone that will get a big role right away in Orlando.
yeah, and that clouds a bit of the potential of Jonathan Isaac, because they will really be very conservative with him, especially after what has happened for the past couple of years. All right.
How about Donovan? Are we
Are
gonna?
there any news? There's no news on
I
Donovan
know.
other than RJ
There was
Barrett
news.
signing, right?
Yeah, the RJ Barrett extension. Just a quick update on it. With the extension of Barrett, it means that Donovan would probably stay in Utah, at least for the start of the season. People might not understand the poison pill part of the contract of Barrett that he signed with his extension. It means that it's hard to trade him because when you trade him, the opposing team who gets him will get him for 26 million. It will count as $26 million in their when they
Payroll.
compute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for New York, it only counts as 10 million. So that makes it really hard to match things. So that's why it's called poison pill
Contract.
provision.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that, that might put Barrett out of the conversation. So that might mean that Donovan will stay in Utah. That might mean we're not sure, but it could. It's a big possibility right now. Just an update so that you guys are, up to date with what's happening in the
Yeah.
Donovan
So
front
this
there.
also drops the value of Donovan Mitchell,
Yes.
especially if you're drafting a little early. So you have to be a little bit more cautious. The good thing is, I mean, with Donovan Mitchell, it looks like, you know, they will still try to move him somewhere else, knowing that he is already in the trading block. So we'll just have to wait and see. But during your drafts, you have to be cautious on where you get Donovan Mitchell, because this could be a case of a tanking Utah wherein he misses a lot of games just to be able to preserve him, especially before the trade deadline, where he might be traded during the trade deadline. Right? We don't know. All right, let's move on to our depth chart for today. We'll talk about who are we going to talk about first? Are we talking about? All right, let's talk about Minnesota first.
Yeah, Minnesota. Well, it's perfect because our player discussion today was about Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
We did post about Anthony Edwards. I put out my view on Anthony Edwards this year. So maybe we want to hear about your take on Edwards here. I think he's one of very interesting player here with Minnesota.
He's a very popular player amongst fantasy managers. A lot of fantasy managers like his game. But that was interesting when you mentioned there in your write-up that his stats this last year were pretty much similar to what his stats were 2 years ago. So
in his rookie year.
Yeah. So I'm not even sure, how to take that, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, I'm lukewarm on Edwards. If he falls to maybe the third round, I'll probably swoop him up there. Yeah, maybe the percentages are still the shooting percentages. I'm not yet sure. Maybe the turnovers are still not might not still be as good because his game is like that. He's a scorer. He's someone commented that he's like a rich man's Andrew Wiggins, I guess, but I'm not even sure about that. Maybe it's a little similar, but I think Edwards has higher potential than Wiggins, I guess.
Did someone mention that? That's
Or was it you?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I don't think he's a rich man, Andrew Wiggins. I think he's much better than that. I think he's much better than that. But,
if I'm not mistaken, I saw a comment like that. But yeah.
Okay, interesting. That's an interesting comment. For me, I did write that he improved his scoring a little bit, 2 points. I'm hoping and I'm expecting that goes even higher, probably 23, 24 this year. And then if he can just maintain the 5 rebounds and 4 assists, I'll be fine. The 1.5 steals is very. He had 1.3 in his rookie year, 1.5 last year. He can continue to be at 1.5, 1.6, and then the 3 3-pointers a game. Those are gold. If he can just shoot to 45%, and of course the free throws. Another thing that people don't notice is he shot 77% in his rookie year, 78% last year. So it's not really that high. That's something that's interesting to note. If he gets to the 82-83% range, he's definitely going to be a top 20 asset, even as early as next season.
Yeah,
and a young one at that.
The one thing's clear though. Next to Karl Anthony Towns, he is the next best player here.
Yes.
I mean,
oh no,
not really fantasy wise. I would say not fantasy wise, but I think from the usage standpoint, he'll probably get a lot of usage, a lot of runs. So that's good. That's a good thing. I don't think Gobert's presence will eat up. In fact, that might help him a bit in his fantasy game. So stats wise, I wouldn't be surprised if he maintains last season's stats because I don't see a lot of ceiling. I don't think he'll get more than what he did last year. Having said that, though, yeah, like he said, the percentages could improve. Third round is still a good risk reward, I guess, value in terms of where he is.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. A third round in a 12 team
I
league,
think second
especially as
round is
well.
a little too early, though. I think you
At,
mentioned early second round. I think that's a little too early.
no, he's gonna be a top 20, maybe. In a 12 team, that's around late second, mid to late second already. I did say that I'm comfortable picking him late second to early third. So from 25 onwards, it's very confident for. I'm very confident that he's gonna reach that value. But I think there is still some upside to that. If you get him at 25 to 30, I think he can beat that. He can be a top 20 this year because of the things that I mentioned, the percentages and the scoring. He his percentages, especially just a free throw. If he can just go to 84 to 85% free throw, that's a big one though, 5 to 6% increase. But if he can do that, he's gonna be even better than Devin Booker already, in my opinion. If he can improve his free throw, that's a big if. But without that, still safe. 25 to 30, still safe,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Fantasy wise, though, like he might be the third best player here.
That's a good question. Yeah, is he the third best player for you?
I think he is. I still like Gobert
Yeah.
over him. I think we're clear that Carl Anthony Towns is still the top guy there. I don't think it's Anthony Edwards' team, although some during the playoffs there were times that you'll feel that it was Anthony Edwards' team. Was he as good during the playoffs? Well,
Yeah.
he probably was better than Carl Anthony Towns, but
He didn't do something. He didn't elevate his game. That's the thing. In the playoffs, he was okay, but Towns was just really bad in the playoffs. That's
yeah.
why it looked like Edwards was the best player of Minnesota, which is possible. It could happen. I mean, in a couple more years, maybe we could see the changing of the guard there in Minnesota.
Yeah, but the reason I asked, or how he performed in the playoffs, because sometimes that thing carries over a bit to the development, where you can see more confidence in how they use him. But again, with the addition of Gobert, I think the usage will not really increase. At best, I think the usage would probably be the same. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that he stays. Stats would be pretty much the same as last season. I don't see a good high ceiling similar to maybe a Lamelo or a Tyrese. I mean, those guys have really
Um,
high ceiling and are on the different level when it comes to.
yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Lamelo and Tyrese are a different situation, of
Yeah.
course, in a rebuilding team. They're first rounders. Anthony Edwards, though, I think in
Now I
terms
have
of
a
usage,
question though. With
yeah,
Donovan Mitchell, you know, still in Utah, should he would still be in Utah when the season starts? Is it still Donovan? Do you think you'd rather have Anthony Edwards or Donovan Mitchell?
I would go Edwards this year. This is the year that Edwards leapfrogs Donovan. I don't care if Donovan moves to another team. It's
Because if you
actually
think
going to be
about it,
worse.
they pretty much have the same type of game, right? Anthony Edwards is just bigger.
Yes, same type of game stat set, almost similar, but Edwards is better fantasy game in terms of the steals and the threes. Although Donovan has improved his 3 pointers also later in his career, Edwards from the start was two to three 3 pointers a game and 1.5 steals a game. So he's a better fantasy player than Donovan Mitchell. And now that there's lots of uncertainties with Mitchell, I'm actually not in agreement with the usage. I think Gobert won't hurt his usage as much. I feel like it will maybe not increase. Maybe you're right that it will not increase. It will be the same, but there's still a possibility it increases because I do see him getting more of the creator role and more bigger piece of the offense given his game is starting to mature and how talented he is. So there, I think Edwards top 20 is the ceiling. So still not the same as Tyrese and LaMelo, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but could be better than Donovan this year.
He should. For me, he should be better. He should be better than Donovan.
How about
This year,
Shea?
Shea, yes, I think Edwards still. If there's no risk about Shea's health and the shutdown, I'm gonna go Shea. Shea for me is a different player, as a talented player, smooth kind of player, and fantasy wise, there's no holes, there's no free throw problem, there's no those things. But the risk with Shea is just too much. That I'll go Edwards over Shea.
Right.
I'll
Let's
go
talk
Edwards
about the
over.
other guys.
Yeah.
In the point guard position, it's very clear that D'Angelo Russell holds the fort
Yes.
here.
Yes.
I don't think there are really other fantasy threat to his position.
No, I'm not. I don't think so. Yeah.
Though D'Angelo himself is not really a very attractive fantasy asset. He's probably with those line in the lines of not really as attractive when it comes to the trade value, and a lot of managers also don't like him as much.
There is a stigma with D'Lo, yeah, because of, I guess, the inefficiency and everything, right? As an asset though, he's a little bit underrated. He has become underrated like last year because he can pass. He can give you the assist. He's someone you could target after the after maybe the late sixth to seventh round. Maybe you could target him. If you miss out on some of the point guards early on in your team, you could target him and he could fill up some of the point guard position. But you're correct in the sense that trading him though, picking him and then trading him might be hard because he might not get full value because
Yeah,
as you said, managers have a
don't like
little
him. I
bias.
mean,
Yeah.
if we talked about KPJ last time, whose trade value is not as good, especially the 9 cat team. Same goes with D'Lo, although it's not as bad as KPJ's value, but the trade value is really low, so it's hard to trade him. But he's got the clear path to just being
Yeah.
the top point guard in Minnesota. I don't think unlike last season wherein they had Pat Bev, some players who can play point guard that might eat up on the minutes.
Uh,
Injury and inconsistency is the challenge with D'Angelo, I guess,
I think
as
at this point,
always.
at the guard spot, Russell Edwards starts. I would think that they will go with McLaughlin and Noel, backing them up. Although Austin Rivers might give Jordan McLaughlin a run for his money as the backup PG. But McLaughlin was very good last year. But Rivers, of course, is a veteran, so he might get some minutes there. But Noel is
Probably
a guy
Rivers is a
in deep
better
leagues.
better defensive player too.
Yeah, yeah.
Rivers, yeah.
Yes, Rivers is a better defensive player. Noel probably, if you're in a very deep league, is somebody you could take note on. Observe how he whether he gets major minutes off the bench because there's a lot of players that left Minnesota. They lost Malik Beasley, I think Pat Beverly.
Yeah.
So Noel is in line for some boost in minutes, and we know what he can do. Last year he showed in a stretch there when there were a lot of injuries that he could really be a good defensive player, and then he could shoot 3-pointers. So Noel is a guy that's very interesting in that guard spot for the
Yeah.
Bulls.
I guess the most intriguing player here is Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're
Jaden, the
gonna agree.
forwards. Yeah.
I know Kyle Anderson's their new acquisition could have some good value, but I don't think there's anyone as intriguing as Jaden McDaniels. He might not be starting, but we don't know how the rotation. They might start him over Kyle Anderson at the 3. But how do you see Jaden here
He's not starting here in this Roto
in this
World
depth chart? Yeah,
projection, but I would not cast that as set in stone. I don't think Kyle Anderson is definitely sure as a starting small forward. Jaden can become the starting small forward, and I like him. Last year, of course, he was one of our sleepers, although he still disappointed a little bit. But Jared Vanderbilt is gone, and McDaniels has that steals, threes, blocks. He can average one of each of those easily if he gets minutes. And aside from Kyle Anderson, Torian Prince just got arrested in the airport. I don't know for what. I think for drugs or something.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. So Josh Minot is a good rookie. Wendell Moore is a rookie. I don't believe those guys are ready. So McDaniels has a path to minutes here, even if he comes off the bench.
Up
I like him. I like McDaniels.
120?
He's a sleeper here.
Or even inside 100.
No. I'll go outside 100. 120.
Yeah.
110 to 120.
Yeah.
Those range.
Other
The Bamba
player-
range last year.
Other player you think we should watch out for? I think everyone's set here. Naz Reid, the usual backup role, could be used from time to time when Gobert is out, but which rarely happens.
I think another guy that we have to talk about a little is Kyle Anderson, slow-mo.
Yeah. He
It's a
did
new
disappoint
team.
last year.
He did not. Did he disappoint? I
Well,
feel like
coming from his season a couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago he was really good, right? 2 years ago, I think he surprised us. I remember talking about him during the preseason, wherein we said that this would not stick. This Kyle Anderson would not stick, but he showed us 2 years ago that it would stick. Last year, I think Memphis made some changes to their rotation. He didn't start like he usually does. Sometimes they started Melton, and then Desmond Bain was a revelation. So I think that ate up the minutes of Kyle Anderson. Minutes wise, he wasn't getting the usual minutes that he got 2 years ago. So I think that's where the disappointment is. So it's hard to tell where this one goes, especially when we talked about Jaden, who could be the starting small forward.
yes. I just want to talk about him because I still no managers were high on him. He still has the steals and the assists, as you said. He can rebound, so there's still some intrigue there, but the upside is quite low in my opinion, unless there's more injuries that will happen. I'd rather go Jaden McDaniels at this point. If I'm really gonna, I see McDaniels as sort of like a Jonathan Isaac, a young Isaac. When Isaac wasn't yet the mainstream Jonathan Isaac, when he was just, there was still the mystique around him. I see the same stats. I see the same stats. 1.5, 1.7 threes, 1.8 blocks, 1.5 steals, or 2 steals even. I see those things. He can easily get those things. So yeah, McDaniels over Kyle Anderson.
Yeah, and
lastly, Towns and Gobert. What's your range?
Well, we talked about
the
Towns and Gobert. We still like when we did our first round mock draft couple of episodes ago. We still like Towns as a first rounder. He eats up in the the rebounding department, I guess. Gobert eats up in the rebounding department, but I still like Towns as a first rounder.
top 10, I guess.
Yeah, top
He's been
10.
dropping. He's been dropping. I've seen some drafts, early drafts, and he's been going
because
8,
I
9,
think
10.
I think Tyrese has been moving up, right?
Yeah.
He was sent really top first round material until other analysts hyped him as well. I mean, we liked him as well as a first rounder. So I think there are certain players who has moved up. LaMelo has moved up. We know he's going to be a first rounder. We just don't know where, right? So I think that's why he could drop. Plus, he's not as exciting as a prospect anymore.
Yes, that's true.
Right?
That's true.
I mean, sometimes managers like that a little, like some uncertainty, but wherein the ceiling is higher, right? There's some uncertainty with LaMelo. LaMelo last year was okay, but I think we wanted more, right? We expected a little more from LaMelo last year because of the inconsistency. So now we still feel that he could get there. I think Carl Anthony Towns managers feel he's peaked already.
He,
He has
yeah,
peaked. Yeah.
I agree. I think he has peaked. I don't know how, is this his eighth season, I think, going into his eighth season. And he has not really improved in a lot of aspects, except the 3-point shooting, of course, the outside shooting that's improved. But his rebounds, his blocks, they've been there, just decent. So I think his peak. I agree with that. But if I get him in the top 10, anywhere, maybe outside top 5, 6, 7, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, I'll be very happy.
I think
I'll be very happy.
the reason why Carl Anthony Towns is still ranking that higher because of the percentages. He shoots a lot of free throws. He makes a lot of free throws.
3-pointers.
Yeah, the 3-pointers are okay. His field goal
And the
are not
durability.
bad. Yeah, the durability. Plus, he isn't really a turnover prone type of player,
Yeah.
even for a
Yeah.
go-to guy. So I think the percentages is really keeping him up there in first round value. Without those, he'll probably be dropping because the numbers aren't as good as 3-4 years ago. So yeah, Gobert though is still solid as they come. I mean,
Yeah. If you get to that range where we said it's the, what you call that, the injured range, the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, those range when you have the Paul George, the Anthony Davis, everything. If you want something safer, it's really Gobert. Bam Adebayo and Gobert. Those are the two players, the two options you can have at those range. It might be too high for Gobert to go 15, 16 because he's in a deeper team and he's sharing stats with Carl Anthony Towns, but he's as solid as they come. I think there's no upside there, but it gives you a player that you can rely on. So, I won't hate on that.
plus if you think
pick him
about
there.
it, the next tier of centers, right? Because we have the top tier of centers. Maybe Jokic is there. Who else? Carl Anthony Towns probably. Well, if you consider him
Embiid.
a center, Embiid, right? Who are the next tier of centers, right? There's really none.
Vooch, Bam Adebayo, Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, like I said,
these are the guys.
those three
Robert
guys.
Williams.
Yeah, and Gobert is still there. I mean, he's still
Yes.
part of that tier. He hasn't really regressed a lot when it comes to his performance. So yeah, second round value still there. I mean, he dropped already. I mean, I think a few years ago it'd probably be one of the late first round players.
Considerations, yes.
Yeah, so
He's
now
probably
he's
gonna be late. He's probably gonna go past 20 in some drafts, and that's okay. That's okay because of the new situation that he has. But still good, still solid.
No, if he goes past 20, I think that's a good value already for Gobert.
That's a good. That's a
really
good pick.
value.
That's a good pick.
Really good value. All right, so yeah, that's it for Minnesota. It was a lengthy discussion, but lots of nice players here. With I think compared to the this group here has a little more certainty on where we feel they would be before by the start of the season. So now let's move on to the Philadelphia 76ers, who has made some moves, minor moves this year. Well, the top dogs are still there, Embiid and Harden.
I would think that this is basically the core and the rotation of Philly, but if you look at it, just scanning through it, you would see a big hole behind Joel Embiid. I mean, who's Philip Petrusev? I know Philip Petrusev. He's a rookie, but I mean, I don't think he's the guy that's gonna be backing him up off the bench. Maybe it's Paul Reed or Charles Bassey, but even those two are young as they come and not really proven. And then, of course, who's starting there? PJ Tucker, who is a veteran who I don't know if he can last the whole 82 games, although he's tough. So the depth here, not very inspiring, if you could say so.
Yeah, I want to talk about Tobias for a bit. Tobias is what we call included in that not so sexy picks, right? Not so sexy, but very efficient type of player. Well, that was before last year. Last year, it's safe to say he was a disappointment, I guess.
Yes, safe to say.
So now, the question in my mind now is, how are you going to treat him now? Is it he's? I'm pretty sure he's one of those. This Tobias is probably the favorite of those managers who wants safe, not really safer picks. But how do you treat this now with Tobias? Do you think he used to be what, fourth round, late third maybe,
Yeah,
fourth round value
he was
before?
40s in the 40s range last year. That's not gonna happen. He should be in the 70s this year. He should be in the 70s.
So
And
that's a big drop.
yeah, but he was basically 60 to something, 60 plus to 70 last year. He ended up at that range, if I'm not mistaken. And if you talked about Anthony Towns speaking, Tobias is not peaking.
He's
Carl Anthony
dropping.
Towns peak. Tobias is on his way down. And yeah, the only thing that works for him here is the depth of Philadelphia. They don't have much good, intriguing players behind him. So that's the only thing that's really working for him. But if you got risky players in the early rounds, I would not be against picking Tobias in the 6th round for you, in the 5th or in the 6th round, to give you some stability in your roster. His stats would be what it is. I don't think it will change much. The scoring will drop. The scoring will drop because of someone we're gonna talk about later, which is Tyrese Maxey. But outside of that, I think everything else will be mostly the same. Same old boring Toby. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. So 7th round is where Commish thinks he should be. And that's
No,
I think
the
that's
70s.
70s.
70s, that's 6th round.
Sixth round.
6th round, yeah.
Yeah. So that's where Tobias should be, or at least what we think he should be. So don't reach for him too high. The reason why his scoring has dropped is because of this scoring wise. This Philly team is loaded. You have Joel Embiid, you have Harden. Those two guys would be staple. I don't think there's really much to talk about those two players. Maybe Harden being a first rounder, where some might think he has, he is a little past his prime already. But Komish thinks he still has a lot to give. So it's really where you think Harden is. I mean, we haven't really seen the healthy and the Harden. I don't think he'll be the Houston Harden that he used to be.
He's also peaked. It's
peaked, but in fairness to him, he can contribute in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and that helps his value.
His peak though was so high that even if his climb is going down from the peak, he's still a top 5 player in my opinion. And he's still gonna give you the free throws, the assists, the scoring, and some defensive stats, which is very underrated with James Harden. And he's in shape, and he, as we mentioned in one of our episodes, he's very motivated. He wants to win. He gave up some dollars because he wants to be competitive this year. So Harden is a good top 5, top 6 pick this year.
So do you think he would still be better than maybe LaMelo, Tyrese?
I think so. Yeah.
Or even Dame.
Yeah. Might not be as big a difference as before, but I still have him projected higher than those guys. He's in my top 5. So
yeah, I know.
I think he's better.
Yeah, I know. The other guy that you said was the most intriguing here is Tyrese Maxey. He's good, but the concern I always have is that this is loaded offensively. This team is loaded offensively. I'm a little bit worried about this. I know the potential is there, the ceiling is higher, but can he reach that ceiling with Philly?
He
And with
won't reach the ceiling. If he gets traded to, let's say, I don't know,
they won't trade him.
Indiana or
I
San
don't think they
Antonio or
trade him.
Houston, oh, he's gonna explode. But even last year, he was a good player last year. 18 points a game is not bad. He can't steal. He hasn't shown his ability to steal. So it's really threes, assists, and then points. And then he's a very good field goal shooter for a point guard. He's 48%. So those things are still valuable. If he can improve his steals rate, it's gonna be even better. So even if he just continues to that in that path, he showed it last year. Philly did not add anybody of that has high usage or will score a lot of points. So the roster is basically what it was last year. I don't think Daniel House or the other people here would really be a big difference. So Maxi should be able to be one of those late round players you can add if you're down on points. Sort of like a
Wait, I
Tyler
have a
Hero.
question though.
Yeah.
Would you like the potential of Maxi over Tobias? Or you still
Yes,
like
yes.
Tobias more?
This year I think I still have Tobias higher than Maxi because I'm not.
Really?
Yes, Tobias is still top 70. Tobias is still top 70. Maxi, I don't know if his ceiling this year would reach the 60 to 70. I mean, that might be his ceiling because of, as you said, unless an injury happens to Harden or to Embiid, then, he can become a 24, 25 point scorer. But outside of that, his steals and assists are not yet that high for me to go Maxi over Harris for now.
Right.
So unless there's an injury, if there's an injury, we know Maxi can step in. But without that, I'll go steady Toby for now. But it's not too far off anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know this is going to be an anticlimactic end, but players like the Anthony Melton, Matisse Thybulle, Thybulle is probably, he's last year I think he got overrated. One of the overrated players last year because the steals and the blocks rate weren't as good. Still good, but not worth a draft pick, I guess. Melton though played quite well last year.
Yes.
These are two
He's the guy.
favorites of a lot of fantasy managers
He's
who
the
hasn't
guy
really
that
lived to the potential that managers feel, right?
not yet,
Yeah.
but he was able to have some good stretch compared to before. So at least it wasn't a total bust for Melton.
Melton is
And
the type
I think
of player, the type of fantasy player wherein he plays really good, and then managers would think this is it, this is Melton's time. Analysts even say that this is it, this is why I like Melton's game. And then once analysts would say that, or managers would feel that, his game drops, or he's
yes,
not going to be used.
but it's a different team. It's a good start. It's a new start for him. Again, looking at the depth chart, ironically, not much depth here. So he should be the main backup point guard. He can also be the backup of Harden. He can even play small forward. I think he affects Thybulle a lot because both of them are defensive players. Both of them steals a lot, and same skill set. Basically, only he's smaller. But Melton is not like Thybulle who doesn't score. So
I was just about to say,
I'm gonna go Melton. Outside of Harden, Embiid, Maxey, and then Harris, I would go Melton. I would go Melton and nobody else here. I would go Melton. I'm not even drafting Thybulle. Sorry,
yeah,
I'm done with
me too.
Thybulle.
I'm done with that. Yeah, I think steals and block rate, I think Thybulle still has the higher potential, but like you said, he doesn't do anything else. So might as well go with.
Going back to the Melton, to the Maxey Harris thing. Thinking back, yeah, maybe Maxey can be higher than Toby this year. It's just that steady Toby will be more safe. If there's such a thing.
Yeah,
But
Tyrese would
it's
be
up
the
to you really.
high risk, high reward type of.
Yeah. But they're very, as I said, they're very close. Maxi could easily go to top 60 this year, so they're very close. They're very close.
All right. So yeah, that's it for any surprise you think Paul Reed could surprise us? He's a
Yeah,
fan favorite.
I if you're really gonna go deep, it's Paul Reed. I'm waiting for another signing. I don't know if Dwight Howard will be signed to be backing up Joel Embiid, or I don't know, DeMarcus Cousins suddenly gets signed here. We pending those things. It's just nobody else here that can back up Embiid, and we know he's an injury-prone guy. So there must be a plan, and I
Well,
think Paul Reed. If there's no plan, then it's Paul Reed. Paul Reed is somebody to
he
watch
is
out for.
not exactly a favorite of the coach.
Well, but Paul Reed has some Chris Boucher in him, even in the G League.
Yeah,
So watch out
because
for
he's
Paul Reed
also
here
not
in
a
the G League.
favorite.
Yeah, but his stat set in the G League is very fantasy friendly. This guy.
All right. Moving on to the next one, the last team we're gonna be talking about today, the San Antonio Spurs. This one is a very young team, and well, the young team of the San Antonio Spurs plus Jakob Pertl. So I think Jakob would be I guess, the poor man's Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, very white man, poor man's Rudy Gobert. A white Rudy Gobert, if you want to put it that way. It's funny that we put San Antonio last. If this was a regular NBA preview, they would never be the last one, because you would put those boring teams first. But surprisingly, in fantasy this year, they're not boring, because as you said, they're
There's a lot of uncertainty here. I think
yeah.
there are a lot of questions here. Um, you know, center wise, I know Jakob is still the top center there, but Zach Collins could be an intriguing player. He showed some nice play last year, although the I guess the difference is still huge when it comes to fantasy performance. Jakob's still, one of the more consistent and reliable centers there. Low
Would
level, low
Jakob
end.
end up in the season in San Antonio though? That's the
I
question.
know that's the bigger question, right? Would he stay there? But I think the other guys, because who's gonna be the top dog now here in San Antonio? Because we all know Jakob is not that main guy for them. He's not the anchor. Who's gonna
If
be the top player here?
if you base it on Yahoo's update and projection, it's Devin Vassell. He's in the top 45 of Yahoo, which is insane. But for me, it should be Keldon Johnson. It should be Keldon is 52nd right now. That's also too high. But
I don't like
given,
Keldon Johnson's game. I just
yeah, me too. I'm not that much of a fan, but he has all the opportunities in the world right now. It's his team, and I know he doesn't give you defensive stats as it's basically points and rebounds. The first few years of his career, but the usage will be through the roof. And if he plays 30 to 35 minutes, he'll get double-digit rebounding starting at power forward. He can shoot 3-pointers. The steals will just come just by playing that long, that many minutes. So I think he's the best player here, sadly, for Spurs fans.
well, he's the best player. Fantasy-wise, though, I still think it's Jakob. The best option here, fantasy-wise. I mean, right? I mean, I think there's some risk also to Keldon, but the player I really like here is Trey Jones. That's the player I really. I think after seeing what he does or what he did when DeJounte was out last year, the stat set is just nice. Too nice to pass up on.
I agree. That's also a very good point. A lot of people well, the managers have been talking to are Keldon, Vassell. Who do you want more? Keldon, Vassell, Keldon, Vassell. But you put up a good point. Trey Jones. I mean, he's gonna be a good pick for a point guard needy team, or just if you had Chris Paul maybe early in the rounds, Chris Paul another point guard, and then you didn't address and you didn't add any more point guard from rounds maybe 4 to 9 or maybe there so and then round 10 he's still there, 11 he's still there. I don't know if that
Man,
will
if
happen,
round
but
10 he's still there, man, that's a really, I just feel like he is, round 10, he shouldn't be there by round 10.
yeah,
That's how high
yeah.
I am on this guy. I mean, we've talked about 6 teams already. This is the 6th team. And this is the only guy I saw in the depth charts that really made me think that this is the guy to get, if you want really good value.
Yeah. Well, I think he can easily average 8 assists maybe this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
14
Maybe,
points, eight
yeah.
assists. But one thing you don't notice is turnovers, as you said. He averages less than 1 or something so far in his career, and he, even with more usage, he's probably gonna be topping out at 1.5, I hope, to 1.7
Yeah.
turnovers. That's big. That's big for a point guard, especially someone you will pick maybe lower end of the draft. You don't want someone who will give you a lot of turnovers late in the draft if they're not your stars, right? So
Yeah.
this is a good player,
Yeah.
good fantasy player.
Vassell, you mentioned, is also intriguing. Consistency is what, I still can't see from Vassell. And Keldon, I don't like Keldon's game. You mentioned Keldon. I just don't like his game. I mean, scoring and rebounding. I know it's hard to get scoring, but I don't know. I'm just past that Keldon Johnson stage.
Yeah, but you have to. I'm telling you to open your mind a little bit because it's like Kyle Kuzma last year, right? We don't like Kuzma's game for a long time, but last year he broke out. Tyler Hero is another player like that, but I think Keldon is that kind of a player this year. 20-point scorer, maybe 7 to 8 rebounds, maybe 2 3-pointers. I hope he gets to one
But do
steal
you
a
like
game at
him
least.
over Vassell? Vassell's
For
stat set
now,
is really nice too. I mean, he's got that defensive stat set there, better
I
than
don't like where
Keldon.
Vassell is going. I don't like the position. If he's at a 60, 70, I just find it too high. Given there's other players who are shooting guards who might be better options there. But I like Vassell also. But Keldon might drop, might go lower. So I might go Keldon. But if it's just the same like Keldon or Vassell, I like Vassell's fantasy game more. But just for the price, just for the position they're gonna be picked at, I think the value is Keldon will get the better value for you than Vassell.
Yeah.
Unless both of them drops and then you have a choice, then yeah, you go Vassell. But I just feel like he might go earlier.
Yeah. Outside of these 4 players, I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't talk much about Jakob, but I think it's clear where he is. I think he's still one of the top centers, at least on the second tier level. I think he's probably the last good center you could probably get out there behind players like Robert Williams, Nurkic, those guys. Other than those guys, those 4, any other player here you find intriguing? The small forward position is very open.
I'm actually thinking how many of these guys will come to the PBA as imports in the next few years. But yeah, there are a lot of similar young, as you said, young players. That makes it really hard. Josh Primo is one. Malaki Branham and Blake Wesley are their first rounders. Branham is very good. Branham is really good. Blake Wesley, I don't know much about Blake Wesley, but when I saw him in the summer league, he looks like a tall point guard that can play. So I mean, Langford languished in Boston. Now that he's there, he's a good shooter also. That's why that's my thing with Vassell. I know Vassell would get more minutes, a lot of the minutes, but those guys behind him, Branham, Primo, Langford, they're not old veterans. They're young players that they also want to,
Develop.
they want to develop. So is he sure that he's gonna get 35, 38 minutes? Maybe he'll go 30, but unlike Keldon, who is he can play small forward, as you said, Doc McDermott, Josh Richardson. These are veterans, so he gets more open situation there. But the rookie there, Jeremy Sochan, he was not able to play in the summer league. This guy is Draymond Green, as they're saying. He's a defensive guy. This guy is the guy I'm very, very, very intrigued to see. He's like a Dennis Rodman with his hair. He rebounds, hustles, steals, blocks. He can't. His offense is terrible. I mean, he's not scorer at all. Basically, Draymond Green, a younger Draymond Green. So let's see if he can live up to the expectations, because a lot of people are very excited about this guy.
Yeah, but
Jeremy
not,
Sochan.
but still not fantasy relevant or fantasy.
Could be.
What
I
very
mean,
deep league? What 20 team?
Yeah. I mean, in deeper leagues. I mean, for me, if Matisse Thybulle was picked last year, there's no reason why Sochan, who's a better player than Thybulle, will not end up being relevant at some point of in the season, especially with a team like this. With a team like, I'm sorry, San Antonio fans, but I mean, we saw OKC. We started with the weak teams, OKC, Houston, Orlando, but those teams compared to this team
Are good.
it's just
Really good.
yeah, just way better.
I mean, those
So
teams are on the are in the middle of the rebuilding process. San Antonio is at the start of the rebuilding process, so it's gonna really get ugly here for San Antonio.
But what's interesting is we have a lot of players we like here. You like Trey Jones, right? You like Vassell,
Yeah,
for the right price. I like Keldon for the right price, and then of course there's the young ones we mentioned. So
even
it's
Zach
gonna get
Collins is
interesting.
Something worth an eye on. I mean,
Maybe.
at least something, a player you watch out for in
Yep.
case there's some
Watch
moves,
list.
because
Yeah.
he's still a young player, although very injury prone, as seen in the past couple of years. But last year when he played, he showed some good glimpse of promise there. I think they're just being careful with him as well, because he came back from a
Even
major injury.
Kita Bates Diop. Last year he had a good
Yeah.
stretch also. He also had a good stretch. He can
Yeah.
shoot threes for a big guy. So it's another guy that you can watch out for. The only problem here with San Antonio is there's just too many similar players, as we said. Vassell, Langford, Primo, Branham, Wesley. These are guys who are 2-3, small shooting guards, small forwards. So there's a lot of similar players. It makes it tough for them to break out. So that's one thing you have to be worried about or concerned about. And so preseason will be very interesting to see who stands out.
Yeah.
Who stands out among these young players.
And this is one of the teams we should be looking out for during the preseason.
Definitely.
See, who moves up, who steps up other than the four players that we talked about. Who's the fifth guy there? He might be a nice player at the last roster spot, or maybe in very deep leagues, right? You might want to consider him.
Only in fantasy that we're more excited about San Antonio than the Philly or Minnesota.
Yeah.
Because it's
true, right? In fantasy, if you're a rebuilding team, that's where
we love that.
Yeah, we love that. That's where the diamonds are. That's where you get the best fantasy potentials, or the players with the best fantasy potentials. So yeah, San Antonio. Trey Jones, guys. I'm telling you, he's the guy. Don't reach too high though. I mean, don't reach too high. But if he falls outside 100, I think. Do you think he falls outside 100? I don't think he falls outside 100.
He might. Not a lot of people know him although well. They listen to us and they listen to a lot of experts. He's gonna climb up. But just for early drafters, he might fall outside 100 especially if you draft right now and early September, he could fall out of the top 100.
Yeah, so watch out for him. He's one of my sleeper picks this year. All right. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today's episode of Fantasy Benchwarmers. Hope that helped you guys truly prepare for your drafts. I know draft season is about to come. So yeah, hope we're trying to finish everything before maybe the exciting, or at least before the draft season starts. So yeah, 3 more teams. And the next episode we'll probably do a little more. So yeah, hope you like it. Subscribe, guys, to our YouTube channel, Fantasy Benchwarmers, and follow us on some podcast platforms in case you are into just listening and you don't want to see our faces. All right, that's it. See you guys again in the next episode. Bye.